Hello and welcome to KiniTalk. I'm Samisha Naidu and today we're joined by PKR's Director of Strategy, Mr. Rafizi Ramli.
Hello.
Mr. Rafizi, welcome to the program.
Thanks.
Okay, now before we get started, I just needed to help clear up a bit of rumors that's going on that Parliament may in fact be dissolving tomorrow. Can you confirm or deny this, or what have you been hearing? And
I mean, there've been so many rumors for the last 2 years, but I think because there's not much time left, so I think tomorrow is quite probable, and we've been hearing from even government departments and so on. So there is a high probability that it will be dissolved tomorrow.
And is PKR and Pakatan prepared for this? I understand you had a meeting this morning.
Yeah, I think this is the longest running campaign ever. We've launched officially our campaign in July 2011. So this is coming to 2 years, and I think people are just really just want to go and get over and done with it. So it's good. If it's tomorrow, I think we are more than prepared for it.
So ready to go tomorrow then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now let's talk a bit about you. Your entry into politics has been pretty interesting. You were with Petronas beforehand, and then you left in 2009, joined PKR. Now, you're obviously making a lot more money in Petronas. What inspired the change to politics?
I had to explain this many times, because I didn't actually quit Petronas to join politics.
Right.
I left Petronas because I wanted a change in career, because I spent the first 7 years in oil and gas, and I wanted to move to some other things. So I went to pharmaceutical. The difference was I had a bonding with Petronas, so I couldn't leave Petronas before. But the moment I was with a different company, so when the party actually talked to me and say maybe you took a gap year, 2-year period to come and work with Selangor government on policies, I thought that actually a good idea. I never meant to join politics as it is now. It's just that once you are in government of Selangor, one thing led to another, and more often than not, you actually had to defend the government. It wouldn't be long before, from being a so-called civil servant, you had to go to the front and become a full-time politician. So
what do you mean you have to?
Because we all started in '98. I mean, my generation is more or less a reformasi generation. I was 21 when it happened. So we joined the party and reformasi lock, stock and barrel. So all of us wanted to basically complete the job. And so long as we don't dislodge Barisan Nasional from Putrajaya, there's unfinished business. So they came to a point when I think I felt that I had to step up, and we needed the final push to get rid of BN. So every single help counts. So perhaps I could make a difference better as a politician rather than just a backroom planner in Selangor. So
that's how it happened. All right. So, but why PKR and not DAP or PAS?
No, because I joined PKR from the first day, and my sense of political awakening was very much influenced by reformasi. And at that time, the only one party that, at least from my perspective at that time, was truly multiracial was PKR. So a lot of us, my generation who joined PKR, came from that perspective that we felt if we were to dislodge Barisan Nasional, change the system, it has to be a party with Malay majority and reflective of the demography of this country. At that time, I think PKR was very bold, being a Malay party initially, that really embraced all other communities. So hence why not DAP and PAS.
But then now that you're a coalition, how does that work? Is that still in line with what you believe in terms of multi-ethnicity and
multiracial? Yeah, I think so, because PKR had the advantage of starting from scratch as a multiracial party. So our culture, our openness when discussing race issues is, I think, quite different from perhaps how PAS or DAP had managed it, because they have been around longer. They had set cultures and also different ways of doing it, and they had to operate in different times and circumstances. Whereas we are different. We benefited from a lot of younger people from different races coming in. So I think to a certain extent, there is still dynamism in PKR that I feel that this is still the best party that I want to be in. And I never regret a single day of doing what I did since the last 15 years with the party.
Okay. Now, I mean, on that note, you've been very vocal about moving away from race-based politics, and as a Malay politician, this must not go very well with everyone because you know, ketuanan Melayu and all that. Now, how has that been for you as a Malay preaching multiculturalism and moving away from one ethnicity's superiority over the others?
Funny enough, actually, I never had any bad encounters because of the position I take in terms of multiculturalism and race politics. And I think that's reflective of the majority of the working and middle class from all across the section, even the Malays, because we did a straw poll and we have focus group asking people, given the chance between Malay benefiting from the current economic cake but having an advantage because of race politics, or having an enlarged economic cakes but competing like anyone else, we found out, at least PKR found out, that more and more Malays feel that it's better to compete on for a bigger economic cake, because even under the current race politics, most Malays don't actually benefit from the system, from the policies. And it's even more pertinent for, I suppose, the Malay professionals, the Malay youngs, because there's a limit to how much you want to carry the baggage. I don't think any of the Malays want to succeed and to be branded, you are successful because you benefit from race politics and the programs. We want to be known that we can stand on our own, we can compete like anyone else.
But I mean, don't you think that you will be losing out on a large amount, like a large voter base because of this policy, or do you think it's your strength?
I think you have to segmentize the voters. As I say, the working class and the middle class of the Malays, the ones below 40, I think, because they have not really benefited from largesse and contracts. I think they can buy the arguments, and I think they are buying it by the day. Of course, it's a lot more difficult to rationalize with the people or the groups who have benefited, and but there are only small segments of this. There are risks, definitely, and Datuk Sri Anwar, I think, to the surprise of everyone, talk about phasing out NEP as early as 2007. Even our own partners in the coalition thought that that was foolish. But then again, if you really want to make a difference, I think you have to be honest with the people. You have to state your policies and what you set out to do, no matter how difficult it is. And that has to come from a multiracial party like PKR.
Okay, wait, how does that tie in though in terms of the coalition with PAS? Because one of the biggest arguments has been is that PAS is a religious-based party. I grew up in Kelantan myself, where for 11, 12 years, where it's a PAS-governed state, and obviously Islam takes precedence over other religions. Now, how is that going to work once Pakatan comes into power? How do these different principles all align?
Well, I think the principles are all aligned, because when we talk about non-racial politics, you know, it's all about fairness, and Islam is all about fairness, and that's why I think it's a lot easier to rationalize with past leadership and past crowds first and foremost before we bring the idea to the general public, because there is nothing in Islam that allows people to discriminate others, even if you are of different background or religion. So I don't see there is anything wrong at all, or any mismatch at all between PKR's policies when it comes to multiracialism and PAS. Of course, there are slightly different opinions when it comes to approaches of how much Islam will have an influence or role in governing. That's very different from the kind of fair policies that we talk when it comes to welfare policies, employment policies, economic policies, which I have not encountered any objection or issues from PAS so far.
Okay, now let's talk a bit about personalities in politics. I understand that you're not of the opinion that personalities are what's going to make give PKR success in the elections, or any party for that matter. But for example, I was having a look, I think your Facebook page has more fans than PKR's Facebook page itself. So what is your opinion on that, in terms of how much will individual political personalities make a difference in GE13?
You see, Twitters and Facebooks and all the other gadgets that come with internet YouTube, allow people to actually understand and really appreciate what a particular politician stands for. So it's not, to me, it's not so much about personality when it comes to appearance and image. It is about what you stand for. And I think people identify with me personally because I speak for bread and butter issues, that's all. And this just so happens to be perhaps the most important issues in this election. And the message to all politicians in all parties is that the days when you can be a politician without people knowing what you stand for is over. You can no longer be a high-ranking party official and with the strength of your position in the party, expect that the public will like or support you. I think that's my belief. It is the time when people would like to know what are your thoughts, policies, what are you going to be arguing differently if you were in parliament, what issues are you going to champion, because voters are a lot more sophisticated, information flows more readily now, and they want to back or they want to identify with politicians who champions their causes. So I don't think it's really about a personality, but it's more about issues.